Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm Will Lopez along with Caleb Newquist, who's so sharp he can slice an abacus with a single thought. We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and you're on the margins. Happy Tuesday, Caleb. Wow, what a minute since last we spoke.
Yeah. Thanks for that intro. I don't know what it means, but I'll take it. It seemed like a really nice compliment. And anyway, it's good to be back with you on the margin.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know last time we talked, it was right before Halloween. Have you been binge eating on all that chocolate between then and now?
Yes, I have. And I'm happy to report that most of it is gone. I think there's some, actually, to be perfectly honest, I'm a Starburst person. So
Ooh.
yeah, so I think I ate my weight in Starburst, and the rest of it, I mean, we ate that too. So I think for me, Halloween means Starburst. And
Yeah.
but we gave a lot of candy away because we're generous candy givers. But anyway, it was a good holiday. What about you? Good Halloween?
Yeah, great Halloween. Obviously making the best of a bummer, right? We did what we could, but I'm actually a Nerds fan. Love Nerds.
Oh.
I've actually come to love Nerds a lot more than I could have ever have imagined. But yeah,
And
every
candy,
time
not just people, right?
that could be synonymous. Who knows? But I love you very much too, Caleb. But yeah,
Ditto.
nerds through and through. Some good Twizzlers. Oh, it's been a binging fest.
Good. So what are we going to do this week? This is our second show back. If you're new here, maybe we'll introduce ourselves quickly. I'm Caleb Newquist. I'm the editor at large at Gusto. I write a newsletter called On the Margins, which you should subscribe to if you don't already. And this is our little live broadcast, and we're talking about the future. We talk about lots of things, Will, but mostly lately we're going to talk about like the future of accounting firms and like what they're doing. We're going to talk to some interesting people that are serving small businesses and I think we have a good show today, don't you think?
Yeah, we have a jam-packed show. Thank you so much for joining us live. If you're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, give us a shout out. We'd love to hear it. I'm Will, head of Gusto's accounting community. And yeah, we're going to have some special guests today. We have a lot of good topics to cover. We actually, for the first time, we have our very own Gusto correspondent coming in, Luke Pardue. But yeah, it's going to be really, really good considering, the state of affairs. We're looking at like small businesses from here going forward. What does winter look like? We'll have Kate Johnson on the show, which is going to be amazing. Bookkeeper from the United States, having her own practice. But yeah, I'm jazzed. This is my jazz hands right here.
Okay, so are we going to get right into it?
Yeah, you know what? Let's get the show on the road. This is our first segment, Staying Balanced. Gosh, you know what? Such a perfect segment for the moment, right? I think all of us have been just trying to stay balanced since November 4th?
Yeah, right. Yep, definitely. And I like you mentioned, I'm excited for this segment because it will feature our very first On the Margins correspondent. And
right.
He recently wrote an analysis about the effects that cold weather could have on the economy during the pandemic. And among the findings, the analysis says that 1.4 million jobs that have been recovered since April could be lost from the impact of winter weather. There was a nice write-up in the Wall Street Journal. CBS News picked it up. So it's getting some good visibility. Here to talk more about it is Gusto economist Luke Pardue. Luke, welcome to On the Margins. It's great to have you.
Thank you. And thank you for the invitation. I'm honored to be the first Gusto correspondent.
Yeah, we're thrilled. So to just really get things started, talk about the big takeaways from your analysis and some surprises that you learned when you finished it up. What did you learn that was interesting?
Yeah, sure. So we wanted to do this analysis to really sound the alarm at the risk that cold weather poses. And one really surprising thing right off the bat is the breadth of this risk. It really is not limited to, say, New England or Chicago, these traditionally cold weather cities, but really extend far deep into the South and the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest. And so what we find is that within these cold cities, while they've made great strides since, say, March in the depths of the pandemic, winter poses a really large threat because these businesses have relied on social distancing. Outdoor dining is a particularly conspicuous adjustment that these businesses have made. And a lot of those adjustments are not going to be feasible going into the winter when weather is colder. And so we find that, within two industries, specifically retail, leisure, and hospitality, we could lose 1.4 to 2.8 million jobs in a more severe scenario.
Yeah. So
Now,
I'm curious. Sorry.
Yeah, I
Go
was
ahead,
going to
Will.
say, I was going to say, I'm super curious. Like, so why is the cold weather so impactful? Is it because everybody's indoors? Is it because it doesn't cause a lot of people to go spend more money because it's just way too cold to go outside? Or like, what is like the direct correlation between just the temperature itself and the impact?
Yeah. So the reason that winter poses such a big threat is because businesses have attracted customers back in person by relying on socially distant forms of economic activity. Like I said, outdoor dining is one particularly large one that comes to mind when you walk down a city street. But even businesses like bookshops or retail stores have a 25% capacity limit inside, and then everybody else needs to wait in line outside. And when the weather turns cold, when it gets a little bit colder, it's not really clear if they're going to brave the cold weather when they could sit inside and order something online.
So I have a question, one more question about the weather. So the weather, as we all know, especially here in Colorado, is very unpredictable. So like, is there like you said, the range of potential job losses from 1.4 to 2.8, like is there any possibility that for milder winters in certain parts of the country, could the impact be less severe? Like, what are some of the different scenarios that we could, that different areas of the country could experience?
Yeah, you're totally right. There's so much uncertainty surrounding the winter, both in terms of the weather. Colorado is one of those very typically unpredictable cities, but also around coronavirus cases. We could see a spike in certain areas. We could see, them remain somewhat low in other cities. But, from a business perspective, uncertainty is never a good thing. They always want to know, what's going to happen, be able to plan, make investments, and to the extent that maybe we'll have a warm Saturday and people will go out to dine, that's not something that restaurants or bookshops can depend on and make their plans. And so we're sometimes seeing businesses really shutter for the winter and sort of hibernate just because that one Saturday is not going to be what puts them over the top or in the black. And this range of estimates, 1.4 is really just based on cold weather. If we see a spike in coronavirus cases around the country and a broader contraction in economic activity like we saw in March, these losses could be number even higher.
So one amazing blog, by the way. If you're watching and if you've not read this blog, you should totally read it. We'll try to have some of our team members post it if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook. But within it, it talked about at-risk groups, and I was trying to get to the slide, but we'll put that slide up. But here's the figure that's according to your blog. I found it really interesting and a little bit sad because it's like, oh no, the retail trade and the leisure and hospitality is going to get hit again. Mm-hmm. And that was hit so hard and is still kind of hit pretty hard because of COVID. And now because of probably the resurgence of COVID and then winter coming on, it's just a double whammy.
Yeah. There's a lot of weather puns that you can come up, but it really is the perfect storm of, they are in a fragile position right now. And even before the pandemic, these small businesses had maybe 2 weeks of cash on hand with survey data. And now that's been exhausted months ago. And so, as you can see in this figure, these two industries have made great strides since March. They've, come back strong during the summer, but if businesses don't get aid to adjust to the cold weather, heat lamps, tents, those sorts of things, which are very expensive, we could see a double dip at a time when the economy is already very fragile.
Yeah, one thing here in Denver that I was just thinking about was that, for example, they recently they recently started a curfew just a few days ago, a 10 p.m. curfew, and like one of our favorite tap houses close to where we live, they actually announced that they were closing for several weeks. So Luke, are we already starting to see some of the effects of cold weather or just the spike in cases? I mean, it kind of feels like, it's not even really, well, it's almost mid-November, but it kind of feels like we're already starting to see some effects, no?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's the reason that we put out this report a few weeks ago is that, the minute that the weather turns cold and people start, staying indoors or maybe become a little too scared to go out into, a restaurant, it's already too late. And businesses, as we saw in March, are very quick to adapt as long as they have money, but they are equally quick to, close down and maybe shed jobs. And so that's why, businesses needed aid yesterday or even 3 months ago, and they need aid even more so right now.
Yeah, it brings up, and I went through and read the blog. There was a really nice little visual here that from, I think it was the New York Times, and the title of it was, "I can't keep doing this anymore," right? Small business owners are just giving up. And, as we see small businesses really impacted from just everything that's going on in 2020, the article went on to say, more owners are permanently shutting their doors after after new lockdown orders, right? Realizing that there may be no end in sight to the crisis. I mean, what do you see as far as like a bright side to that not bright, experience that small businesses are having?
Yeah. So one really surprising fact to me is that small businesses make up over half of employment within these two industries, retail and leisure and hospitality. These are sort of the bread and butter businesses when you walk down Main Street, and to see them struggling is very painful. But I think one bright side that I've seen is first, the way that communities have sort of rallied together in certain circumstances to make sure that a local bar or a business that's had a long history within an area is able to survive. I live in Washington, D.C., and I've seen that happen many times, which is very encouraging. But the other encouraging bright spot that I've seen is economy-wide, an actual surge in small business applications, which means that entrepreneurs are seeing the pain, but they're also seeing an opportunity to adapt. And when their backs are against the wall, they might be able to shift a business model or start a new business that meets a need that's come up since the pandemic unfolded. And that's really an open question within economic policy circles, is that who are these business owners who are starting new businesses? Are they younger or are they older? And really, what is driving this new surge in business applications? But amid all the pain, this surge in entrepreneurship is one bright spot.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, Caleb. I was going to ask, do you have any sense as to what is causing that surge?
Yeah, so there's
or who is causing that surge?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's anecdotal evidence that even a customer who is a bakery shop owner has transitioned to cooking classes, and while nobody's allowed in their shop, they can hold classes online, and so they've been able to start that sort of side business and hire people on who have technical skills relating to streaming cooking classes. And then there are other people who might have had a side gig, like I've read about kids who are good at repairing bikes who might have done that on the side, but now that everybody's home and everybody wants to ride their bikes places, they're able to sort of go full on as a business model. And so those are bright spots in what is an otherwise pretty dismal report.
Yeah, and Caleb, I know you have a question, but I'll just add that my oldest, he's been into scootering, right? So we bought a professional scooter for him to scooter around. He actually broke it in half like 3 months later. But we found a small business in downtown Denver here that sold professional scooters. And I went in, it was one guy, and I'm like, how are you guys handling COVID? And he's like, business has never been better because everybody picked up a hobby. Yeah. And he's like, we sold out of everything. So there is some bright side where it's kind of forcing people to just kind of do things that they probably were hoping they were going to do if they had time, but now that they do have time, they're getting into it. So
yeah, exactly. I'll just say, also with the bakery, everybody's baking now. And so when you can seize that kind of opportunity, it really speaks to the entrepreneurial spirit that, both customers and small businesses have.
Well, Luke, we really appreciate your report. Really appreciate you coming on. Can you give us any hints on what you're working on now and what we might look forward to seeing from you in the future?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm actually looking right now at the experiences of businesses as they roll off these Paycheck Protection Program loans. And so we know, at the beginning of the pandemic, Congress introduced this very large program of loans for small businesses. And I'm trying to take a look at how businesses now during the fall, as they run out of money, or as they run out of these, they roll off the terms that they needed to receive forgiveness, how they're behaving. And so I'll be happy to come back on when I have some findings and report on that.
No, that'll be great. So yeah, again, we got to end it there, but if you want to dig in more, I think some of our producers are dropping the link to Luke's analysis in the comments. So check that out. Luke, thanks so much for coming on. And yeah, we're going to have you on in the future. So looking forward to having you back on the margins.
Awesome. Let's make this a regular correspondent gig.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Gosh, man, it's such an exciting moment for Gusto, and I would say bittersweet, right? A lot of small businesses depend on us, right? Over 100,000 small businesses, which is why I think we did exactly what we've been doing since we opened our doors, right? Which is stepping up, giving small businesses and their accounting professionals all the resources in order to get access to that PPP. And if we're seeing a resurgence and people like closing their doors, I hope that the PPP can get refunded, right? And because a lot of that was so accessed 3 months ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like aid at this point in the year, like with the seasons changing, with the temperatures dropping, days being shorter, yeah, a lot of small businesses are in a bind. And so, I mean, I also should say, what a great segment. Like Luke was such a great correspondent. So we're looking forward to having him on in the future for more insights. I mean, that stuff is super valuable. So
yeah.
What do we got? What do you got, Will?
Well, I was going to say, let's keep this show on the road. But before we actually transition over to Kate on board, if your accounting firm is new to Gusto and you want to expand your advisory services and offer clients more value, Gusto is the people advisory platform of choice for modern accountants. So it's powered by our people platform, and we make it easy for accountants and bookkeepers to onboard, pay, insure, and advise their hardworking clients and teams when it matters most, especially right now, right? With winter coming. And better yet, you can become People Advisory certified through the payroll industry's first ever People certification program. And as a People Advisor, you'll learn to combine your financial expertise with people-focused guidance to better serve clients. You'll get access to all the great perks that Gusto has to offer to help support your clients and grow your firm. So partner with Gusto today. Introduce your firm and your clients to better people operations and more at gusto.com/get certified. That's gusto.com/get certified.
Man, you slayed that copy. Nice work. Nice work.
I try. It's the mic. I think it's the mic.
Yeah. No,
and by the way,
great.
Nice mic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. No, you sound great. So our next guest is the founder of Heritage Business Services. She helps solopreneurs and small business owners build their business legacy. She's a proud Texan, Baylor Bear, Navy wife, and fun fact, a big time morning person. No joke. She offers meetings at 5:30 a.m. So if that's you, she might be the advisor for you. She joins us from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Kate Johnson, welcome to On the Margins Live. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
It's good to have you.
Caleb, are you a redhead?
Yeah, especially when I was younger, it was much redder. Like I got the strawberry blonde thing going on. I was never as red as you. But yes, I was redder at one point in time.
I feel that camaraderie.
Yeah.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, great. So the way we like to start these conversations really is just to get to know you and have our audience get to know you. So tell us how you got your start.
All right. Well, let's see if I can do it the short version. I went to graduate school. I have an MBA, and I was working in like hardcore corporate America. I worked for ExxonMobil and for a bank. But during all that, I was married to a guy, and I am still married to a guy in the Navy. And we just felt like for our family goals and values that like trying to have me continue in roles like that was probably going to be just not sustainable. And so we ended up starting our family as well, kind of the same time. It was all sort of like, I was commuting between Houston and Central California, which is not a commute I recommend to anybody. I was back and forth each week.
That is a hell of a commute.
Yeah, Fresno, California, and then driving another like 45 minutes to the Navy, the air base down there. So it was providential, I think. I had never thought I would be a stay-at-home mom, but it just kind of happened. And I had my first kid shortly after we had to move from California anyway, so we moved to Virginia Beach. And I was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and it's been such a blessing. We have 3 kids. Our third one is 6 now. So I have a 9, 7, and 6-year-old. And when our youngest was about 3, I realized that he was going to be starting preschool a couple days a week, a couple mornings a week. And I thought I wanted to be a good steward of that newly found free time, essentially. So I was investigating, like, what could I do? We weren't wanting me to like just go back and enter, the full-blown corporate world. I'd always done well in my accounting classes, and I had some in undergrad, some in grad school. And so I kind of relearned accounting. I learned from the very beginning. I learned about like bookkeeping software and ways to serve small businesses. And I just started slow. My very first client, I like to tell this story. I went to this, I was either going to be a bookkeeper or like a real estate investor, like a flipper, like I was going to go like lay hardwood floors. So I was going to these real estate meetings locally, and they had like a speed networking night, and I had just gotten my QuickBooks Pro Advisor certification. I didn't have business cards. I sat in the parking lot outside of this Holiday Inn where they meet in this conference room. And I wrote my name and phone number on Post-it notes for my speed networking night, and passed out those cards when everyone else was passing out their business cards. And someone called me, and she was my first client. And
that's awesome.
I've grown since then. Kind of scrappy story, but I think it's very, very me. And I think it encourages people that, I think she could tell that I knew I was going to be able to meet her needs. And was much more important than whether I had a business card or not. So, that's how I got started. And take 5:30 a.m. meetings if people want them. And there are a few of us morning people out there, and people actually do book me. So for that time.
Gosh, that's so awesome. And I mean I think it makes a tremendous amount of sense as to like the Facebook group that you have, which is and we'll share that with the audience a little later. Sure. For them to join. But like, the bookkeeping side hustle, I mean, it really did sound like that's exactly what you were doing. You were just kind of doing a side hustle, and even something like writing just your name and phone number on a sticky note versus a business card. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like the end goal there is, I'm just here to like support your needs, and it doesn't, and your desires, and it doesn't really necessarily have to be introduced by way of a fancy business card, right?
Right.
So long as I'm able to answer questions.
I have found that there is, especially like as accounting was moving to the cloud in the last, I've learned the history of this. I've only really been doing this for 3 years myself, but I've learned a lot about the history as I've been doing this. And, it's fairly new. And there seem to be a lot of people who actually do have very large firms, but who started off with, oh yeah, I was helping, 3 or 4 people kind of on the side. And I was sick of like getting, I was unappreciated at my job and overworked and underpaid. And I was like, I could just do this. You like plan. I'm cautious. Probably, maybe, I don't know if all people who do accounting are probably not.
Risk adverse.
Yeah, risk averse. And so, like I would recommend, I think there's a phrase like pull the boat a little closer to the dock before you jump, but some people just go cold turkey and they're like, I've had enough of this, I'm walking out. And then they go start calling everybody they know saying, now I have a business. But, starting that, there's lots of ways that you can do work like this now in the cloud. I mean, and COVID just emphasized that even more. Like all of a sudden, every accounting firm was a cloud-based firm, right? And you can, I can do accounting at 6 a.m. Whenever it works for me and my family. I can serve my clients. I can log on to QuickBooks, stuff like that. I can run payroll on Gusto, and I can still get my kids to school on time, that sort of thing. So, yeah.
So I'm curious about you. You've only had a virtual firm, like you say, because y'all have moved around a lot. Like that kind of flexibility is important to you. Like, how do you instill that same kind of thought process to the businesses you serve, especially in a COVID environment where kind of the flexibility and being able to run a business on the cloud has been so critical. So how do you advise the businesses you work with to kind of adopt those same kind of principles and philosophy?
Well, Caleb, I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that, mostly because I think the nature of my business has been such that I haven't had a lot of pushback from anyone. I'm not trying to get that, crusty old 30-year brick and mortar guy to like go to the cloud. So I don't know. I think people like just showing like joy and enthusiasm, and even just like what I have on LinkedIn about I'll work in the morning. I think that like, whoa, like I could meet with an advisor at outside of 9 to 5 and then go actually do my own business when I need to be making money during those business hours. Oh, that's cool. So even just that one little bit about myself, and when they book a call with me and it sends them like, their prospective client questionnaire kind of automatically, I think I just have tried my best to make it seem appealing, make it seem fairly easy. And so I haven't seen it be a hard sell. And I probably would not be a good fit for someone if it was going to be a hard sell. So I don't know. Every app, every program, that's been cloud-based, like Gusto is just one of them. It's been pretty easy. Like there's good apps to solve all problems, I think. So.
Well, what's interesting about that is I think what resonates with me is, when I was in practice prior to Gusto, I never got pushback either. And I think for accountants, because we're so risk adverse, we think that by, because the term cloud is attached to the software that you're using, that you feel like you have to make this extra pitch for it. And it's actually the other way around. The clients just need help, and they kind of don't care what you do to get to the finish line, to the end, right? So the ends kind of justify the means in that situation. So it's like, listen, I just need your advice. I need your counsel. I need support. And regardless of the means, whether cloud-based or desktop, that's what I need. And so there's very little resistance to the thought of like using something like cloud just because the term cloud is slapped on it. So I think it's on point in my opinion.
Okay, good.
So, we mentioned about you doing the side hustle and everything that you're doing. I mean, you manage a couple of Facebook groups, including the Side Hustle group, which has close to 11,000 members, which is incredible. I think when you and I met, you said you were 3 years in. How has it grown so well? Like, what has happened in that time since you started just that initial group that has caused so much attraction to that group?
Well, yeah. So I think the bookkeeping Side Hustle Facebook group has been, I think it's about 2 years old. Maybe it's 3. I lose track. I just share what I'm doing, and I'm not trying to make it seem like I have all the right answers. And I have definitely shared, rejections or breakups, as they say, with clients that haven't gone so well. I don't know, just sort of shared my journey. I think there are even people who want to have, large firms with, lots of staff, I think can appreciate that, like entrepreneur to entrepreneur, like we still share a lot of the same struggles and competence issues. I know for me, like especially being out of the workforce, like a lot of people battle that. And so I go into the group myself and ask for encouragement when I need it. And I feel like I'm, unique, good at helping encourage other people as well. And yeah, I don't know, people just come. I mean, this is kind of the era of the side hustle. Like everyone has something that they're doing that they like, that, helps give them, I don't know, like achieve goals outside of maybe their like traditional career, or is a stepping stone to like a change in their career. So it's been appealing to a lot of people, and I don't know, I'm having fun. And I think people are actually making moves, people who have never thought that they could become certified in a accounting software announce, that they did it. And it's just, there's like a lot of joy there, and they've never had that chance to like just succeed on their own and show it off into a community. And we're very, very nice. Like, I think I have, like, we don't play with grumps that it's a good sort of safe spot to be kind of new. There's a lot of very, very experienced people in there, and even they, I think, have the sense where like they could come in like crushing people, like, what do you like, why don't you know this? But that's not the vibe we have. So it sort of stays out of the environment.
So if when you probably get this question a lot, but because you've had, you're 3 years on and you've had a lot of success, I mean, what advice do you give to folks who are maybe talking about doing something like this, like doing bookkeeping on the side, or if they haven't been working, if they've been home and caring for the kids, like how to get things started? Like, what's the best advice you give to folks?
Oh my, the best advice. A lot of it is just get started. I have it broken down into like 4 simple steps. And one of the things I really like to emphasize that I do, one worry I have is that maybe the name Bookkeeping Side Hustle Group might falsely give the impression that, this is easy or it's not serious. So I always start off with, you have to know accounting fundamentals. You don't have to pass the CPA exam, but if you don't know what a journal entry is, if you don't know like, behind the scenes, like, what an old school T account is, or at assets equal liabilities plus equity, like, don't start serving businesses because you're not ready. And you'll hurt someone, and it's people's livelihoods we're talking about, right? So I feel like I wave that banner very strongly in my group, just because I think it might be easier in my group than in other accounting groups to not have that impression that, oh, this is just like, oh, it's QuickBooks, right? Like, and then no, it's not just that. Like, you're going to make a mess because you're going to come across a problem. Like, a couple months might be easy, but then they're going to do something that you need to know the fundamentals to like unwind. So I say that, and then you just have to learn some software. I think people can overanalyze that. I think we're at the point now where there are good solutions. We've been in the cloud for a while, and I think sort of picking a tech stack and becoming an expert, rather than thinking like, oh, what if I pick the wrong bookkeeping software, or what if I pick the wrong payroll program? Like there's competitors for a lot of the apps that we need, but I see people like hemming and hawing about that a whole lot more than I think they should. It's a much bigger issue of whether you're just going to put your nose down and work hard than whether you pick the right app or not. And then you have to set up a business, and then you have to get clients. And all those steps are like very hard, but like none of them are rocket science if you're just willing to work hard and not stop. You're going to feel like stopping at every one of those steps. Like if you don't know accounting yet, you're going to feel like quitting in that step, but push through. And then it's great. And the cool thing about our job, especially with being in the cloud, like it's painful for me every time I bring on a new client. I have not like cracked that nut where like everyone's like, oh, onboarding's a breeze. Like, no, onboarding and cleanups are like really hard for me. But then I know that like, okay, like in 3 or 4 months, like this is this is going to be great, and I'm going to like this person, and they're going to like me, and I'm not going to dread like doing, getting on and having to work on this particular client. And so I'm just mindful of that. I've done it enough times now to see that, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I can be an advisor, and we can get things simplified, and it's not always going to be so confusing. So just maybe just work. That's my best advice, because it's a lot of grind to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely on point. In fact, I think there's a lot of exciting and moments and encouraging moments within the profession, because to your point, people are able to change careers, change professions, and then speak in, by taking certain certifications or learning courses, they're able to kind of upskill themselves. But to your point, you also have to learn a little bit of the fundamentals, especially if you have your own practice. I'll tell you a story. My brother actually, is going through, Xero certification, Gusto certification, Expensify, all these other certifications, because he came to me and he said, "Hey, Will, I'm kind of done doing what I'm doing for a living. Do you think there's any hope for me in accounting?" And, I think if it were 20 years ago, I would say, accounting has a long tail journey to try to get into. And, you got to go to school, you got to get undergrad, there's a lot of formality to it. And while that still applies today, the formality for the majority of people that are just entering into it has been almost fully removed, with the exceptions of some of the fundamentals that you spoke to, right? Knowing your debits and credits, making sure that things balance. And so for me, I was very excited to hear from him that he would like that to do that. And so he's well on his way. And once he gets, maybe about 6 or 7 certifications that I've identified for him, I'll start introducing him to folks that are looking for bookkeepers. And there he is. He's into it. No degree needed, no undergrad or master's needed for accounting. Just, very technologically literate, and just kind of do your thing. So for me, I think it's really exciting, because we're seeing a lot of hiring that happens from non-traditional accountants, right? Or at least they're looking for non-traditional accounting sources.
Well, and the concept of like training and studying and learning, like I just did the people advisory certification that y'all offer at Gusto. And, I'm not a dumb person. I have been to like official school and all this sort of stuff. And when I went through that training, there was so much of it that was new. And you can let yourself be discouraged by that. Like, oh, I'm dumb, or, oh, I had like healthcare. There was especially like the healthcare stuff. We're in the military, and my healthcare has been very like, I was on my parents, and then now I'm in the Navy, and like everything's paid for. And I just don't know the ins and outs of shopping for plans and which HMO, all that. And I could have let myself be defeated, but I still am gonna, I chose not to. I realized, okay, this is a gap in my knowledge, but I don't want to just leave that gap there. That's not acceptable to me. And I knew that payroll was something my clients were starting to ask me more about. I serve smaller clients, so I haven't had a lot of dealings with payroll, but I think in this past year, like I had 3 new people who needed to be on payroll themselves, and like they were thinking about the next person. I'm like, I can't put this off anymore. I've got to learn it. And so I just chose to like, okay, this Gusto certification is something I need. I'd heard good things about it. And it was so thorough. And now I kind of sound like I know what I'm talking about, and I know where to go whenever I don't know the answer. So yeah, there's a lot of good trainings out there. And you just, I'm 3 years in, and there was a big gap, and I, thankfully Gusto was able to help me fill that gap. And I don't know what my next gap is going to be that I'm going to fill. But I'm going to find out. I'm going to figure it out. It's not good enough to me to not figure it out. So.
So Kate, I have a few important questions I want to get to here. First of all, how do you define what a morning person is? And also, what is the best part of being a morning person? So I like to fancy myself a morning person, but I don't take 5:30 meetings very often. So maybe I'm not really a morning person. So because
we're going to change our one-on-one, Caleb. We're going to,
Will and I are going to start doing a 6 o'clock. But so I want to know, how do you define what a morning person is? And what's the best part of being a morning person?
Okay, and to be clear, I think if I'm honest, I don't think I've ever had anyone book the 5:30 slot. 6 o'clock was this
So it's
morning.
always open. The
Well,
5:30.
yeah, you can call me tomorrow if you want. No, well, and I'm also on the East Coast, so if we ever get back to the West Coast, I think it's going to be real money because all the East Coast people, it's going to not be so startling to them.
Right.
So what defines a morning person? I think I've written this phrase. Maybe it's a little bit kind of braggy. I don't know. Like I get more stuff done before the sun comes up than most people get done all day.
Yeah.
I don't know. So just kind of having that sort of attitude where I'm not only am I up, but I realize that this is my high capacity time. So if you're it's not enough just to be up. It's a very meaningful time for me. I'm the only one in my house that's like this. So I'm by myself. I spend some time. I try read my Bible every day or try to. I do that. I have my coffee quietly. Sometimes I'll get some exercise done. I need to get better about that. But like I'm not just like laying in bed. I'm up doing something. So maybe that's how I would define it. Like up and being productive as a morning person. And what's the best part about it? Right now at this season of life is silence. It's pretty loud starting about 7 a.m. until, and because I'm a morning person, there's plenty of nights when I'm almost going to bed when my kids are going to bed, especially whenever my husband's gone. I mean, I'm laying down probably before 9, plenty. I mean, I might not be, I'm not asleep by then, but my day is definitely over. So if I don't have that morning time, like my day is surrounded with people all day. So
Yeah.
that's my favorite part about it, is just that real quiet. The dog's awake, he comes and lays by me, but other than that, it's just me.
Awesome. All right.
Unless I have a meeting, then I'm with
Right, of course.
you.
Right. Okay. So I did my I did some, I don't know if I did my homework on you, but I did some homework. So my question is, what is the best thing about directing a children's choir? And in what ways are children better performers than adults?
I do direct a children's choir at my church. I'm not a musician, so that's kind of a problem, but I want my kids to know the hymns that I grew up learning. And so the best way to do it is, if anyone goes to a church, they know, like, you have these ideas, I want to do this. You tell the pastor and they're like, great, go ahead. I'm like, oh, okay, so I want a children's choir, that means I have to do it. So I like hearing my kids sing. I think my main motivation is I think kids are going to memorize stuff no matter what. They are like sponges. I can still sing, like I can't memorize the words to a song now very well. But
God, I mean, not even close.
But did I memorize every single word to many, many, many things? Like almost where, like, not even just every single word, but like start to finish. Like I know the breaks and like when the CD would go to the next track. Like when I was young, I could do that. So in my mind, like my kids are going to either be singing Paw Patrol theme songs or songs that are like theologically rich. So that's part of, I guess, my motivation, is I want them to have the songs that are like coming to their mind 30 years from now, to not be Paw Patrol maybe. And why are kids better performers than adults?
Or just how, in what ways?
Well, when you deal with little kids, every once in a while you get the like skirt lift, so that is thrilling. So we struggle through with that sometimes. So that's a little bit more exciting. In what ways? I don't know. They're still they're I try to do a lot of music appreciation. I think by the time you get to be like a teenager, like people have decided like music is dumb or bands for dorks or whatever. And I like probably about once every 2 or 3 months, I'll do like an interview with someone who plays a different instrument, and we'll like do I filmed the inside of now I have to do it all on Zoom now. So like I had an interview with the piano player, and we were looking inside of the grand piano and I have a trumpet that I've gotten out, and had a violin player come, and they're just like, they just still care about it. and they're not too cool yet.
Right.
So I think that's really, really neat. Like, what is this made out of? How does the noise come out? That sort of thing. So they're just enthusiastic in ways that as we get older, we lose.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much genuineness, I think, in children when they approach stuff like that.
Right. No irony.
No irony.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Kate, thank you so much for being on the show. In fact, if we could show this visual of Kate's group before we let you go, Kate, if you are looking for a group to be encouraged, if you're thinking about inserting yourself into the accounting profession, or you currently are just looking for a community, Kate has an incredible group. So if you just go to Facebook and type in Bookkeeping Side Hustle Group, you'll find Kate's group, fill out a couple questions, and join the community. Also, fun fact, Kate's an author. She wrote a book, the Bookkeeping Side Hustle Guidebook. So check that out. Kate, where can people find that book? Is it available inside the group? Is it on, on your website?
Yeah, I think in the group, if you click that picture in the header, it will eventually take you to a description to click on it, but it's bookkeepingsidehustle.com/bookkeeping-guidebook. Or send me a message or something and I'll send you the link to it. It's an ebook. It's full of links, which I think are really useful. It's supposed to truly be like a working document. So if you don't know accounting yet, you're going to sort of stay at that part. If you are ready to learn a bookkeeping software, you'll have all the links to how to sign up, how do I choose between which software, that sort of thing. So it's supposed to be very just super, super user friendly. And that you'd come back to as you hit different hurdles in your journey, because there are going to be hurdles and you will fall flat on your face. And so, before we go though, Twizzlers,
Twizzlers are delicious. I mean, I don't like the dark Twizzler, like the super deep licorice kind of stuff.
I have thrown away all Twizzlers already, and my kids were supportive.
I'm a Red Vine person for what it's worth.
Oh man, Starburst though, Caleb, you and me, Redhead, Starburst, much better.
Can't go wrong.
Kate, thank you so much. So Kate's website again, once again, bookkeepingsidehustle.com. You can access the guidebook that she created. If you're looking for an incredible Facebook community group, go to Facebook, type in Bookkeeping Side Hustle Group, join her group. You could also befriend her on LinkedIn. I think her full name is Kate Josephine Johnson. So feel free to go to LinkedIn and connect with her. Kate, thank you so much for being on the show. It's incredible to see just what you've done. I'm quite honestly just honored that you're on the show. Not because I do community here at Gusto, but just because I love my profession so much that I get really excited when I see people like you doing incredible stuff for the profession. So thank you.
Well, it's been my treat. It's so exciting.
All right, Kate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kate.
Adios. Okay.
Awesome, man. What a jam-packed show.
That was a great show.
Yeah. So I know we're at time and everybody's going to continue going. And we just want to thank everybody for watching. If you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, follow Gusto on LinkedIn. Subscribe to Gusto's YouTube page and like our Facebook page. We go live on the margins every other week, Tuesday at 10:45 Pacific, or no, Mountain, sorry, 9:45 Pacific. And we'll see you in a couple weeks. Caleb, close us out.
Yeah. This edition of On the Margins Live was produced by me, Caleb Newquist, and Will Lopez, written by me. Our co-producers are Mohini Kundu and Andrea Garcia Vargas. Video and sound production by Waylon Janowick and Rylan Harris. Special thanks to Paul Choi, who helped us out with some branding this week. Thanks, Paul. And thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you later.